As in the previous videos, we have seen about one of the important concept of system design, that is latency. So in today's video, we are going to see what is throughput. Throughput is basically rate of doing thing. Rate of doing thing. Okay. What does it mean? It means work done per unit of time. Per unit of time. It is basically, if for example take a application which can only handle 25 requests per second, so its throughput is 25 requests per second. You can imagine a example like if you go for restaurant, okay, one restaurant has only 3 tables, okay, and if it take 1 second to serve one person, so it can only serve 3 people in per second. 3 people per second, okay. So that is a throughput of that restaurant, how much work it can done in per unit of time. So what is the significance of this throughput? For example, suppose application only handle 25 requests, okay, or if the number of requests come per second is more than the throughput, for example 30 requests, so in first second it handle only 25 requests, okay, and left 5 requests had to wait till these 25 requests completed. So it has to wait for 1 second because it take 1 second to complete 25 requests. So after completing, the next request come. So the more the requests come, they have to wait because application has the limitation of handling a 25 requests per second. So for example, if you make any application which has only a throughput of 100 requests, okay, but your application received 1000 requests, so what will happen? Other 900 requests has to wait for 9 seconds, and has to wait then has to wait for 9 seconds, then they come, then they come, okay. So what will happen? It decrease the experience of customer. Why? It take lot of time to handle the request, and the request is coming super fast, so it ruin the experience of customer. So no customer wanted to visit your website because it take lot of time to handle their request. So that's why throughput of any system is very important, and throughput is different than latency. How it is different? Throughput means work done per second rather than latency means time take to complete the work, okay. So it is different. And always remember, low latency leads to high throughput. How it is happen? So suppose a machine this is machine, and this latency is very high latency. So work coming here is very low, work coming here in the machine is low, so throughput is also low. If machine latency is low, so very fast work is coming to the machine, and so throughput get increases because machine has to do lot of work at a particular time, so the throughput increasing. So latency and throughput is related to each other. Low throughput increase to high latency. But how the throughput is dependent on architecture of a machine. So there are basically two architecture. First one is monolithic, second one is distributed. So in monolithic, the resources are limited. Basically there are only one machine. All the requests has to be handled by one machine. Resources are limited, so throughput is also limited. A limit of throughput, only limited amount of requests can be handled by one single machine. So limitation come in the monolithic system. But in distributed, resources is not limited because if there are more number of requests come, they increase the number of machines. So here limitation is not present. Throughput limitation is not present. Throughput limitation is not present. Is not present. So throughput get increases in distributed system. So these are the things. Now we will talk about how we can improve the throughput. Improve the throughput. So basically we can improve the throughput by some means. First one is increasing resources. If we increase the number of machines, the throughput get increases. Performance, if we increase the performance of each machine, or we help by CDN caching, because CDN caching decrease the latency, throughput get increases. Because as a user, if my server is present nearby, so requests come very fast, so throughput has to do lots of work at a particular time. That's why throughput gets increases. Next one is using the load balancer. We will discuss about what is load balancer in distributed system. We can use the load balancer in distributed system. Using load balancer, we can increase the throughput. We will discuss about this topic in the upcoming video. Do not worry about it. So these are the some factors by which we can increase the throughput. So let's discuss this throughput with one example, real life example. Okay. So let's suppose you make a application, okay, and there are 10 million person can use this application, okay. They send 40 requests per day. They send 40 requests, okay. So how many requests they send per day? They send 400 million requests, because each person sent 40 requests, so there are 400 million requests per day, is equal to 0.4 billion requests per day. Okay, so suppose the size of one request is 100 bytes. Okay, so what will happen? The size of total request is 4.4 billion into 100 bytes. That is 40 billion bytes. And 1 GB is approximately equal to 1 billion byte. Okay, so what will happen? There are 40 billion bytes, that is equal to 40 GB per day request. Okay, so what is the throughput of this system? 40 GB upon 24 into 60 into 60 GB per day. Now let's make it in MB. 40 into 10 to the power 3 into 24 into 60 into 60, that is approximately equal to 0.460 MB per second. So we have to make a system that can handle this amount of data per second. So with the help of throughput, we can design our system in such a way that can handle this amount of data in per second. If a system does not handle 0.46 MB per second data, so the request has to wait for some time, and due to which the experience of a user get bad. That's why during designing any system, we have to first find the throughput, so that we design a system which is efficient and the user do not have to wait for the throughput. I hope you understand each and everything in throughput from the example of uh, latency and throughput differences. Throughput is work done per second. Latency is the time taken to complete the work done. Low latency led to high throughput. We have discussed about this topic. Then we have discussed about architecture. Monolithic architecture has a limited resource, so throughput is limited, but distributed system has a unlimited resources, or we can have say more resources. So throughput is not limited here. That's why throughput is more in a distributed system. Then we discuss about how we can improve the throughput, increase the resource performance, CDN caching, load balancer. We will discuss about load balancer in upcoming videos, so do not worry. Then we discuss about an application real life example, and by this example we have discussed that 0.46 MB per second is the throughput of a system. So I hope by this example you will understand each and everything related to throughput. We will meet in the next video with a new and upcoming topics.